Imhotep. Welcome to the African History Network show, the Tuesday, October 13th, 2020 edition. Yesterday was Indigenous Peoples Day. We call Columbus Day. Some people still celebrate Columbus Day, like the White House, Donald John Trump. So, yesterday we had Dr. David Imhotep on, the author of the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. So that broadcast page in format also, wherever you get your podcast from. We're on iHeartRadio as well. Visit AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, click on listen to podcasts, and you can listen to the podcast of that interview also. Okay, so on tonight's show, I posted an article earlier today from newsone.com. It's a really good article entitled "Never Forget, Myra Shelby is the Black woman judge whose court seat was quote unquote stolen for Amy Coney Barret." Myra Shelby was an African-American female judge who was nominated to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals by none other than President Barack Obama, because President Barack Obama nominated a number of African-American female judges and African-American male judges as well. Nobody wants to talk about that. I'm not sure why, but he did. So she was blocked by Republicans led by Moscow Mitch McConnell. We're going to talk about that. It's a really good article from news.com that deals with that history. And this ties into what we talked about when I did the recap of the first presidential debate. And it's when it looks like probably the only presidential debate. It took place September 29th, 2020. And Donald Trump said that President Barack Obama left 128 vacancies on the federal bench open. There's actually 105. Don't know where he got 128 from. But that's because in the last 2 years of the Obama administration, after Republicans took control of the U.S. Senate in the 2014 midterm elections, the Republicans blocked his nominations and left 105 vacancies. Okay, so you've heard me talk about in the past, and we deal with the article from Newsweek.com, how Trump has gotten 216 federal judges confirmed in 3.5 years. Okay, so we're going to talk some about this and talk about Myra Shelby and a little bit about what happened today. We saw that Amy Coney Barret was grilled by Senator Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris was looking very presidential once again. And she wasn't claiming she had immunity to coronavirus. She wasn't talking about injecting yourself with bleach or anything like that. Now, the NAACP, Derek Johnson, president and CEO of the NAACP, wrote an op-ed for St. Louis American, STL American. And the NAACP is speaking out against the nomination of Amy Coney Barret. We'll talk about that as well. It's a piece called "Amy Coney Barret Has Been Stunningly Hostile to Civil Rights." Amy Coney Barret has been stunningly hostile to civil rights. Okay, so we'll talk about that as well. And then we see coronavirus, 20 states set record highs for COVID-19 cases. Now, as Rachel Maddow reported on the Rachel Maddow show on MSNBC today, she said the October 13th edition, she said that there was a unnamed source from the White House who basically intimated that the White House strategy is this idiotic notion of herd immunity, to just allow people to be exposed to coronavirus so they can somehow build up some type of immunity. And this is really the theory that's being pushed by Dr. Scott Atlas, who Donald Trump brought onto the coronavirus task force team. And Dr. Scott Atlas is somebody Trump saw on Fox News. And Dr. Scott Atlas is a radiologist. He has no background of fighting infectious diseases. He's not a virologist or anything like that. He's a radiologist, and he's pushing this theory of herd immunity. But when you look at the predictive models that they're using to determine how many millions of people have to be exposed to achieve herd immunity, you're looking at somewhere between 3 to 4 million people dying in the U.S. Okay, this is their big plan. So this is after we see two of the vaccine companies between yesterday and today announcing that they were halting the experiments. We'll talk a little bit about that. But we see 20 states set record highs for COVID-19 cases, and we see COVID-19 is on the rise also here in the state of Michigan. Now, on our Sunday night show, we did a brief recap of the vice presidential debate, and I did a 2-hour, actually 2.5 hour extensive recap and fact check of the vice presidential debate when it took place, October 7th, I think it was, that Tuesday. So that's at our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. You can watch it there. And this past Sunday, on a Sunday night show, we started going through, once again, doing a fact check of Senator Kamala Harris's prosecutorial record, because there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of lies just floating around in a lot of these idiotic memes. And notice how these memes don't cite sources. And notice how these memes, they don't cite sources, no fact checking. They just put this information out. Okay. So we're going to continue with our fact check of our prosecutorial record as well. We'll continue that all this week. All right. All right. So we'll deal with that and more on today's edition of the African History Network show, our daily show. Also, earlier in Georgia, did you see the article we posted on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network from NBC News? Early voting started in Georgia, and Georgia shatters turnout record for first day of early voting. More than 128,000 Georgians went to the polls Monday, October 12th, a record day of early voting in the state, according to the Secretary of State's office. You know, now that's in spite of the voter suppression taking place in Georgia, the purging of Georgia voters. One report showed that about 300,000 were purged over a period of time in Georgia. So this is in spite of all that. Okay. And when we know through October 7th, 5.1 million people had voted early in 31 states, according to the U.S. Elections Commission. And that is a 640% increase over by October 7th, 2016, when only 75,000 had voted. Now, about 10 million people have early voted. Okay. People are realizing how elections have consequences. How's everybody doing? Everybody share this broadcasting and social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. Follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. And if you like this type of information, you can also donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Then also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Okay, so on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events, history, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. We may have to talk some more about sex. We'll see. And much, much more, and love. We'll see how it goes. Who knows? But anyway, text the word Kemet, KEMET, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word KEMET to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can sign up for the email newsletter there as well. All right. So we're coming up here on a break in a few minutes. And let's see here. Okay, yeah, we're coming up here on a break in a few minutes. So I want to jump into this. Shakita, you have the clip queued up that I sent you? You have the clip queued up that I sent from MSNBC. You have it queued up? You can come on the air and say yes. That's fine. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So if we look at now, when we talk about Judge Myra Selby, okay, you've heard us, we talked about Myra Selby briefly before. I played a couple of times on my show and in recent broadcasts this excerpt from AM Joanne Reed's weekend show. We know she's on Monday through Friday on the Readout, but I played this clip sitting in for Joanne Reed. Tiffany Cross interviewed legal expert and attorney Elie Mystal. Elie Mystal used to write for Law and Crime. He writes for The Nation sometimes. But Elie Mystal was talking about how Amy Coney Barret imbalances courts more, how she imbalances the court. Donald Trump Supreme Court pick Amy Coney Barret is critiqued by legal expert Elie Mystal. And one of the things he does is he talks about how her nomination, she was nominated by President Barack Obama, how her nomination was blocked by Republicans, but he also talks about the importance of controlling the. He also talks about the importance of controlling the federal courts. Okay, let's go to this clip.
And a stolen seat. She is on the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. She fills a seat that was nominated by Barack Obama. Barack Obama nominated a woman named Myra Shelby to sit on that circuit, black woman, in 2016. Mitch McConnell blocked the black woman just like he blocked Merrick Garland. And when Trump got in, he appointed Coney Barret to Selby's seat. The Seventh Circuit, which has 11 justices now, is the only circuit that is an all-white circuit in our country. The Fifth Circuit covers Chicago. All right, so that's the scope of what we're looking at here. Trump has infused the entire federal judiciary, not just the Supreme Court, but everything up and down the federal judiciary with Trump judges, overwhelmingly white judges, overwhelmingly. And we are long overdue expansion of those courts to better reflect the plurality and diversity of this country.
So one thing I find interesting is that the right has made this an issue for their base. This has always been what they took with them into the voting booth. The left has not. And the irony of this is that the impact that the courts have disproportionately impact folks on the left, more specifically people of color. What can we do to change the conversation and, quite frankly, the political landscape to make the courts just as important an issue on the left as they are in conservative circles?
Democrats have to do a much better job of messaging to their base about how important the courts are. Republicans do this all the time. Look, I do not think the base Republican voter is any smarter than the base Democratic voter. But the Republicans have made this the one-to-one connection. If you want this, then you must have the courts. If you don't like gay people, then you must have the courts. If you want guns, then you must have the courts. The Democrats do not message to our base in the same way. If you want climate change, then you must have the courts. All right? If you want reasonable gun reform, then you must have the courts. If you want health care, then you must have the courts. The Democrats never make that one-to-one connection. And I think part of the problem is, frankly, arrogant. We are right. We know we're right. More people agree that being right and being in the majority is enough to push the ball. It ain't. What's enough to push the ball is controlling this institution of minority of judges that are elected for life, that are appointed for life, and represent minority opinions. Controlling that branch is how we control these major issues that we care about.
Okay.
This story is
okay. So that is from AM Joy, September 27th. 2020. Okay. The name of that clip is Trump Pick Amy Coney Barret Imbalances Courts More Expert Imbalances Court More Experts Claim. Okay. And that was legal expert Elie Mystal that you heard talking. He's breaking this down, and he talked about Myra Selby, okay, the African American female judge from Illinois. She was Indiana from Illinois, and her nomination was blocked in the Senate. Okay, we'll discuss this in the details on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. That was Indiana Supreme Court.
Ask the judge. Many residents in southeastern Michigan avoid jury duty and court dates for minor traffic violations and end up being...
All right, stand by, everybody. Stand by. How's everybody doing? Ujima Enterprises. Okay, stand by, everybody. Hey, if you want to advertise with the African History Network show, email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. Customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. Okay, because we have a new promotion that just started. We have a few spots available. Okay. The Pink Bakery is known for their No Frowny Brownie. Have you tasted the world famous No Frowny Brownie yet? If not, what are you waiting for? They are vegan, gluten-free, and free of the big 8 allergens, okay? While eating their No Frowny Brownie, the fabulous Miss Tabitha Brown said they were good, very good. And if she said they're very good, you know they must be. The Pink Bakery is the first Black-owned Big 8 allergen-free baking mix company. Go to their website, thepinkbakery.com, thepinkbakery.com to order their No Frowny Brownie mix today. Now, you may have heard about the Black History 101 Mobile Museum. I have actually seen it before. Dr. Khalid Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum for over 25 years. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, cultural events, etc. They are available right now for in-person and virtual exhibits. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum. Visit their website, blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. Also give Dr. Khalid Hakim a call at 313-645-4197. 313-645-4197 for the Black History Mobile Museum. Stand by. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, everybody, stand by. All right, how's everybody doing? Okay, we'll be back in just a minute here. Follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and turn on notifications so you know when we go live. So I've been following what's going on with, I was following some of the hearings today for Amy Coney Barret. This is an example of how elections have consequences. I was looking at her dodging questions, dodging some questions also. There's a reason why Trump nominated her. Okay, we got Greg Osborne. thepinkbakery.com. Thepinkbakery.com. Donald Trump nominated African American female judge from the Michigan area. She got confirmed. From what I hear, she's pretty good, but that she's just one out of 216. Also got an African American. He's nominated about 7 African Americans. Stand by, everybody. Stand by. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Tuesday, October 13th, 2020, and we are live. So everybody share this broadcast. This is we're here now Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight, and we're still on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. All right. So right before the break, I shared the clip from MSNBC AM Joy. Joanne Reed from September 27, 2020, with her legal expert, Ellie Mastal, briefly talk about how Judge Myra Selby, who was on the Indiana Supreme Court, she was nominated by President Barack Obama to the 7th Court of Appeals in early 2016, and her nomination was blocked by Republicans in the U.S. Senate. Okay, so we're going to talk about that, and then also somebody posted here dealing with Donald Trump, and they said if Donald Trump nominated African American judge or African American female judge, it wouldn't be any good. He's gotten one confirmed. So we've talked about this before here on this show. Senate approved Trump's first black female judge. December 19th, 2019, Detroit News. The U.S. Senate approved Thursday President Donald Trump's first black female judge nominee after his selection was delayed. U.S. Magistrate Judge Stephanie Dawkins Davis of Flint, Michigan, a former federal prosecutor for 18 years, who Trump appointed in March 2019. Trump appointed in March to sit on the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan, was unanimously confirmed by voice vote, unanimously confirmed. Democrats and Republicans confirmed her unanimously. Stephanie Dawkins Davis earned a voice vote, which is unusual and may attest to the confidence the senators have in her abilities, said Carl Tobias, a law professor at the University of Richmond, who follows federal judicial appointments. By contrast, 11 of the 13 judicial appointees this week, December 2019, had roll call votes in the Senate, Tobias said. U.S. Senators Debbie Stabenow, Democrat, represents Lansing, and Senator Gary Peters, Democrat, Bloomfield Township, from Bloomfield Township, from Lansing. Two U.S. senators, and they represent the state of Michigan. They both applauded the Senate for confirming Dawkins Davis. Read the rest of this article here, because this is only a 1-hour show. DetroitNews.com. Senate approves Trump's first black female judge nominee, December 19, 2019. That is U.S. Magistrate Judge Stephanie Dawkins Davis. I talked about this when this took place. All right, let's go to this article here from news1.com from October 13th, 2020. Never forget, Myra Selby is the black woman judge whose court seat was stolen for Amy Coney Barret. And cue back up that clip from MSNBC, Shakita. I'm gonna go back to that in just a minute. Never forget, Myra Selby is the black woman judge whose court seat was stolen for Amy Coney Barret. So this was written by Bruce C.T. Wright for News1.com. And he talks about how President Barack Obama nominated Judge Myra Selby, a black African-American woman judge. He nominated her to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals in early 2016. In the clip that we played from AM Joy, you heard attorney Attorney Ellie Mastall talk about how she was nominated to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. But Republicans led by Kentucky Senator Moscow Mitch McConnell, who is who's up for re-election and running against Amy McGrath in Kentucky, they blocked Myra Selby's confirmation. Instead, Donald Trump ended up winning the election that year, 2016, in the Electoral College, and we don't understand how the Electoral College works, unfortunately, and soon afterward nominated Amy Coney Barret to the Seventh Court of Appeals, which she was ultimately confirmed to and still serves on this day. So there were 105 vacancies in the federal courts, because in the 2014 midterm elections, Democrats lost control of the U.S. Senate. The U.S. Senate confirms not just Supreme Court nominations, but also the federal bench, the federal courts as well. This is why Republicans fought tooth and nail to maintain control of the Senate. And many of us think that off-year elections don't matter, and yes, they do, because there are three branches of government: legislative branch, U.S. House of Representatives, U.S. Senate. They write the laws. Executive branch, you have the president. The president also can write executive orders. But you have the judicial branch, the courts, the federal courts, the federal courts, Federal Court of Appeals, U.S. Supreme Court. The judicial branch interprets the law that the legislative branch writes. So what happened was, when Trump became president through the Electoral College, and he got 10,704, he won Michigan by 10,704 votes. He won Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania by 78,000 votes. And just so people understand, because we had somebody call in Sunday to the African History Network show who didn't know how the Electoral College worked, and they said popular vote doesn't matter, and the only people who say that are black people, because Republicans don't say that. Republicans don't say the popular vote doesn't matter because they understand how the Electoral College works. So just so there's no confusion on this, and I posted about this on Facebook before. So the Electoral College does not vote until the first Monday following the second Wednesday in December. Okay, that fell on December 19th, 2016. All right, Donald Trump became president-elect the morning of November 9th, 2016. He got more than 270 Electoral College votes. Now, a candidate becomes president-elect by winning 270 or more Electoral College votes on the day of the presidential election, or the next morning, or something like that. You reach 270 by winning the Electoral College votes associated with the state. California has the most Electoral College votes at 66. Michigan has 16. Maine and Vermont have 3. Texas has 38. You win the Electoral College votes associated with the state by winning the popular vote in the state. Let me repeat. You win the Electoral College votes associated with the state by winning the popular votes in the state. It's not the national popular vote that matters. It's the popular vote per state that matters. Okay, there is no national election. You actually have 50 individual elections because you have 50 state governments, and the election is ran at the state level. You have to read the U.S. Constitution, because the U.S. Constitution created the Electoral College at the Philadelphia Convention in 1787. If you don't read the U.S. Constitution, you don't understand how all this stuff works. So anyone who says the popular vote does not matter has never studied how the Electoral College works, probably never read the U.S. Constitution either. It's the popular vote per state that matters, not the national popular vote totals. Republicans had new voter ID laws in 14 states in 2016 and engaged in rapid voter suppression. There was also 868 fewer polling places in 2016 because Section 5 of the 1965 Voting Rights Act was gutted in the U.S. Supreme Court case of Shelby County versus Holder, 2013. Okay, so they engaged in rapid voter suppression. in 2016 in states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, etc. And here we are. Now, when Trump became president, there were 105 vacancies on the federal bench to fill. And when we read the article from Newsweek.com that you've heard me talk about before, at the time this article came out, he had gotten 216 federal judges confirmed. This article is from September 18th, 2020. Trump has appointed 216 federal judges, and it could be 230 by election day. Trump has appointed he's actually gotten confirmed 216 federal judges. Okay. So read this article from Newsweek.com, and it goes deep into it. So while they're focused on controlling the federal courts, we're focused on the basketball court. They're focused on controlling the federal courts. We're focused on the basketball court because they're playing the long game. Republicans are playing the long game. They want to control the federal courts for the next 25, 30, 35, 40 years. This is why they're nominating very young, ultra-conservative, largely white males to the federal bench, and these are lifetime appointments. Okay, so in 2016, when Donald Trump asked African Americans, what the hell do you have to lose? The correct answer was everything. Some of us just didn't know it then, but correct answer is everything. So Donald Trump ended up winning the 2016 election in the Electoral College, and soon afterward nominated Amy Coney Barret to the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals after Myra Selby's nomination was blocked to the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, so Amy Coney Barret was ultimately confirmed, and she still serves as judge of the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals today. That 7th Circuit is over Chicago. Now, had the U.S. Senate granted Myra Selby, the African-American woman who President Barack Obama nominated, and nobody wants to talk about him nominating African-American judges, had she been nominated, she likely would have been confirmed instead of having the seat, quote unquote, stolen from her, as NAACP advisor Leslie Proll, Proll, noted after Trump nominated Barrett. So Leslie Proll, and let's go over here to the article here. Leslie Proll tweeted about this. We're trying to pull up her tweet. Leslie Proll on September 26, 2020 said, "Did you know Amy Coney Barrett is sitting in a stolen judicial seat right now? In May 2017, Trump nominated Barrett to a seat on 7th Circuit, which covers Indiana 7th Circuit, Illinois, and Wisconsin. This is the same seat which President Barack Obama nominated Myra Selby, a black woman, in 2016. Right now, there was also the issue of Joe Biden promising to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court, which will be the first African-American woman on the Supreme Court if it's confirmed in the Senate. Democrats have to take back control of the U.S. Senate as well. As reported on MSNBC today, you have, let's see, there are 23, let me pull this up. There are 23, you have 23 Republicans up for re-election November 3rd, and you have, I think, 12 Democrats. Let me look at this here. Yeah, 23 seats. Republicans have 23 seats in the U.S. Senate that are up for re-election November 3rd. Democrats have 12 seats. It's 53-47 Republicans. Democrats could very well take control of the Senate, maintain control of the House, and take the White House. Okay, then you can get the federal minimum wage raised from $7.25 an hour to $15 an hour, because that bill already passed the House of Representatives. It's just sitting in the Senate on Mitch McConnell's desk. It's just being blocked in the Senate. Okay, that passed the House of Representatives July 2019. There were 400, not a Democrat and a Republican, but I'm not stupid either. Okay, I see whose policies are attacking us. I see who is trying to take away policies that are in place that are helping us. I see who is blocking bills that have passed the House that are beneficial to us. Now, neither Democrat nor Republican, but usually at the federal level, the damage is largely being done by Republicans. Okay. All right. So, and we'll go to the phone lines in just a minute here. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Okay, so we know Joe Biden has already committed to nominate an African-American woman to the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, have Republicans respected Ruth Bader Ginsburg's wish to wait until after the election to confirm her replacement? Polling shows that Joe Biden will probably win the election, which would have allowed him to move forward with his own nomination. Given Biden's fierce protection of Obama's legacy, that person could have very well been Myra Selby. So we saw Senator Kamala Harris grill Amy Coney Barret today. We may talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. We'll probably deal with that a little more tomorrow. Now, after, let's see here, Leslie Prawl went on to write, after Trump was elected, Seventh Circuit lost its only black judge to retirement. The Shelby appointment would have retained the Myra Selby appointment would have retained diversity on this court. She went on to say the Seventh Circuit is now the only all-white federal appellate court in the country. The Seventh Circuit, which also covers Chicago, is now the only all-white federal appellate court in the country, thanks to Donald Trump. But if you read the proclamation that the White House put out October 9th, 2020, signed by Donald Trump, honoring Columbus Day, you see what this is all about. Talked about that yesterday with Dr. David Imhotep. Go read that at whitehouse.gov. I mean, he's really making this the White House. I mean, So back in 2016, President Barack Obama described Myra Selby, both the first African-American person to serve on the Indiana Supreme Court and the first woman appointed to the state's highest legal panel, in part as displaying, quote, exceptional dedication to the legal profession, end quote, and vowed that she and another judge he nominated would, quote, be diligent, judicious, and esteemed additions to the bench, end quote. But her nomination expired after a year elapsed, strategically allowing Donald Trump to bring forth his own set of judicial nominations, just like Judge Merrick Garland. Well, at least they're equal opportunity. Well, I was going to say screwed, but at least they're equal opportunity. They didn't give. What happened was they did not give Myra Selby a hearing, just like they didn't give Judge Merrick Garland a hearing. U.S. Supreme Court nominee. He was a white man. He didn't get a hearing. You know, the black woman ain't getting one from the Republicans. I'm just saying. At least they're equal opportunity. So civil rights groups have said that beginning a Supreme Court hearing after voting has begun, early voting for this presidential cycle, undermines the democratic process. Even Amy Coney Barret, Judge Barrett, once explained why she believed, at the time at least, that it was wrong to confirm a Supreme Court justice during an election year. Okay, so they talk about Judge Merrick Garland and Antonin Scalia, etc. Okay, now Attorney Kristen Clark, who is executive director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, said, quote, her confirmation would dramatically alter the Supreme Court in ways that would prove devastating for Black communities and other people of color across the country. Her referring to Amy Coney Barrett, elections have consequences. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth upon resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. I warned people in 2016, Kristen Clark, president and executive director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, said in a statement, quote, her confirmation would dramatically alter the Supreme Court in ways that will prove devastating for Black communities and other people of color across the country, end quote. So read this article from news1.com. We posted it on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. Got over 1,000 likes. It's actually got almost 2,000 likes. Never forget, Myra Selby is the Black woman judge whose court seat was, quote unquote, stolen for Amy Coney Barret. Let's go to the phone lines. I think we have Robert. Robert, thanks for holding. Welcome to the African History Network show. To where you're calling from? Do we have Robert on the line? We have Robert on the line. Robert, can you hear us?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm good. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Tell us where you're calling from. Thanks for holding.
Oh, God. I'm calling from San Diego, California.
Okay, San Diego, California. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I just got one comment and one, actually two comments. I just hope everybody, like you said a long time ago, voting has consequences. Mm-hmm. And I just hope everybody not just only comes out and votes, but strategically votes,
right,
locally, state, and federally. And two,
you're a little muffled. Are you on a speakerphone or something, Robert? Your voice is muffled.
Oh, okay, hear me now?
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay, you said vote strategically, and what else did you say? Vote. It sounded like different offices or something you said.
And yeah, for local, state, and federal.
Local, state, and
also,
federal. Yes.
And the second thing is hold accountability, and I got to challenge some brothers too, because it's like the thing is that people shouldn't always look at political party.
Right.
We shouldn't always look at the popularity when we vote. Mm-hmm. We should look for skin color. We should always look at what the person stands for, mm-hmm. and the ideological beliefs.
Right. So it's not about political party. Yeah, it's not about political party. It's about the policies. It's not about their personality. It's not about the political party. It's about the policies. Okay, that's the most important thing, and the likelihood of them following through on their promises. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I get tired of these brothers, some of these celebrity bunkies saying, "Oh, why vote Democrat? Why vote Democrat? Why vote Democrat?" Keith Ellison was the Attorney General mm-hmm. in Minnesota. He charged those police. Mm-hmm. That's why you vote. Mm-hmm. The brother of Kentucky, yes, he
Daniel Cameron, General Daniel Cameron in Kentucky.
Yeah. He didn't charge him anything. He's a brother. So people, it's not about party. You have to look at the ideologies. And for mm-hmm. all those corporate Democrats who want to say, Bernie supporters, Keith Ellison is a progressive guy. Mm-hmm. And another thing is, too, accountability. And I don't want no shade, brother, but I kind of get upset when people, because when it comes to black folk, we like to, we have this, I think, what's that woman's name that wrote the book, The New Jim Crow?
Oh, Michelle Alexander.
Black exceptionalism. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She talks about black exceptionalism. Mm-hmm. As much as I like the image of Kamala Harris, come on now. I'm from California. I can give you a laundry list of stuff she would not be for good prosecutor. Now, am I going to vote? Am I going to vote for her? Mm-hmm. Well, at this point, I have no choice. However, we should hold her accountable.
We should hold her accountable, and then also read the because we'll do probably tomorrow night because we ran out of time here. We only have an hour here. I may do it after. We may do it after hours. Go back and listen to my Sunday night show because we did some fact checking, and also read the article from the Mercury News. We're going to deal with this all throughout the week. Campaign fact check. Here's how Kamala Harris really prosecuted marijuana cases. Campaign fact check. Here's how Kamala Harris really prosecuted marijuana cases.
Okay, I know about the marijuana case. What about the immigration cases? What about keeping the man on death row? What about
we'll deal with all that. We'll deal with all that.
Yeah.
We'll deal with all that. Okay. Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for calling, Robert. All right. Call back tomorrow night. We're only here for an hour, man. On 9:10 AM Superstation. This is our Sunday night show is 2 hours. This during the week. We just started yesterday with this show, and it's only 1 hour, and it goes by quickly. All right. Do we have any more callers, Shatika? Shatika?
No, you have no more callers.
Okay. Let's go back to, you got that clip queued up from MSNBC again? Yeah. Let's go back to that clip. Is it queued up?
Yes, we got it queued up.
Okay, let's go back to the clip. Play it again. All right, we'll get this queued up in just a minute. This is attorney Ellie Mastall talking about Myra Selby's seat being stolen for Amy Coney Barret. This is from MSNBC AM Joy, September 27th, 2020. Tiffany Cross was sitting in for Joanne Reed.
She filled a seat that was nominated by Barack Obama. Barack Obama nominated a woman named Myra Shelby to sit on that circuit, black woman, in 2016. Mitch McConnell blocked the black woman just like he blocked Merrick Garland. And when Trump got in, he appointed Coney Barret to Selby's seat. The Seventh Circuit, which has 11 justices now, is the only circuit in our country. The Seventh Circuit covers Chicago. All right. So that's the scope of what we're looking at here. Trump has infused the entire federal judiciary, not just the Supreme Court, but everything up and down the federal judiciary with Trump judges, overwhelmingly white judges, overwhelmingly male judges, and we are long overdue for an expansion of those courts to better reflect the plurality and diversity of this country.
So one thing I find interesting is that the right has made this an issue for their base. This has always been what they took with them into the voting booth. The left has not. And the irony of it is that the impact that the courts have disproportionately impact folks on the left, more specifically people of color. What can we do to change the conversation and, quite frankly, the political landscape to make the courts just as important an issue on the left as they are in conservative circles?
Democrats have to do a much better job of messaging to their base about how important the courts are. Republicans do this all the time. Look, I do not think the base Republican voter is any smarter than the base Democratic voter. But the Republicans have made this the one. If you don't like gay people, then you must have the courts. If you want guns, then you have the courts. The Democrats do not message to our base in the same way. If you want climate change, then you must have the courts. All right. If you want reasonable gun reform, then you must have the courts. If you want health care, then you must have the courts. The Democrats never make that one-to-one connection, and I think it's frankly arrogant. We are right. We know we're right. More people agree with us, and we think that being right and being, and being in the majority is enough to push the ball. It ain't. What's enough to push the ball is controlling this institution of minority of judges that are elected for life, that are appointed for life, and represent minority opinions. Controlling that branch is how we control these major issues that we care about.
All right.
This story is
okay. All right. So this is a fight for raw, naked power. That's what this is about. Okay. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Read the quote from stlamerican.com, St. Louis American, stlamerican.com. Amy Coney Barret has been stunningly hostile to civil rights. This is by Derek Johnson, president and executive director of the NAACP. Amy Coney Barret has been stunningly hostile to civil rights. Let me know how much time we have left, Shatika. The NAACP submitted a letter to the Senate Judiciary Committee strongly opposing the nomination of Amy Coney Barret to the Supreme Court, coming in the middle of a presidential election in which over 7 million people have already voted. Now, this article came out October 11th, 2020. The Barrett nomination is as illegitimate is as illegitimate as it is corrupt. The Barrett nomination is as illegitimate as it is corrupt. Instead of forcing a nomination onto our highest court, the Senate should address the harms of the global pandemic raging across the country and disproportionately affecting the lives and livelihoods of African Americans. Text me and let me know how much time we have left. Under the advice and consent clause of the Constitution, under the advice and consent clause of the Constitution, the Senate most rigorously and meticulously scrutinize a Supreme Court nomination. The Senate must rigorously and meticulously scrutinize a Supreme Court nomination. Weeks and even months are necessary to fulfill this solemn duty. The U.S. Senate's timetable here is designed to fail. The U.S. Senate's timetable is designed to fail. Fast tracking this nomination, even as individual senators have contracted coronavirus, will deprive the American people of the public exacting review that should be afforded to a lifetime appointment to the court. The next president should decide who sits on the court. Okay, so we're going to continue this on our social media platforms, those watching on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and on YouTube. Don't go anywhere. Michael Imhotep on YouTube. Also, everybody check out the article. We'll deal with this tomorrow night. This is from the USA Today. This was an op-ed by a former public defender who was on the opposite side of Kamala Harris prosecution. Public defender. I worked with Kamala Harris. She was the most progressive DA in California. This was a public defender defending clients who was being prosecuted by Kamala Harris' office. Okay, read this article, this op-ed, August 10th, 2020, by Nikki Solis. We talked about this on our Sunday night show. Public defender. I worked with Kamala Harris. She was the most progressive DA in California. All right, so we're going to continue this discussion for a little while longer on our social media platforms. The African History Network on Facebook, Michael Imhotep on YouTube. You can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App. And paypal.me/the AHN Show through PayPal. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All of my DVD lectures are there, digital downloads, etc. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Talk to you tomorrow night. Peace. All right, stand by, everybody. Stand by. Let me disconnect this call. All right. Let's continue with this. Okay, let's continue with this article. This is written by Derek Johnson, president and CEO of the NAACP, and the NAACP is coming out in opposition to Judge Amy Coney Barret. Let me continue with this. Derek Johnson said, we have reviewed Amy Coney Barrett's record on civil rights, including her writings as a law professor. Now, Derek Johnson is an attorney also, okay, just so people know. Including her writings as a law professor and her 3 years as an appellate court judge on issue after issue. On issue after issue, we have found her to be stunningly hostile to civil rights. On issue after issue, we have found her to be stunningly hostile to civil rights. Her aggressive view of when past decisions should be overruled, combined with her reactionary positions on what rights the Constitution projects, will jeopardize our hard-fought wins in court. Her scholarship questions even foundational principles such as whether the 14th Amendment was properly adopted. Okay, 14th Amendment gave citizenship and gave rights to African Americans, the 14th Amendment. Her scholarship questions even foundational principles such as whether the 14th Amendment was properly adopted and whether Brown versus Board of Education remains viable authority. Her repeated endorsement of discrimination in the workplace, including the stunning conclusions that separate can be equal when it comes to race, and that the use of racial epithets does not necessarily create a hostile work environment, mark a clear willingness to jettison long-standing civil rights precedents. Just a second. Mark a clear willingness to jettison long-standing civil rights precedents. Sometimes it is difficult to discern the consequences of a confirmation from a nominee's past writings and rulings, but not with Judge Amy Coney Barret. And the stakes could not be higher. The rights of African Americans to fully participate in democracy and in every facet of social and economic life on an equal basis lie in the balance. The rights of African Americans to fully participate in democracy and in every facet of social and economic life on an equal basis lie in the balance. The NAACP has fought to protect the Supreme Court. The NAACP has fought to protect the Supreme Court since 1930, when we helped to defeat a Herbert Hoover nominee to the Supreme Court. So Herbert Hoover won the 1928 presidency. This deals with, so if you've heard me talk about why African Americans switched from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party, many people mistakenly think it was because of the 1964 Civil Rights Act and 1965 Voting Rights Act. That's not true. By 1960, 2/3 of Americans had already switched over to the Democratic Party. The reason why the switch takes place goes back to the 1920 presidential election and what's called the Lily White movement. The Lily movement, and how Republicans are ignoring the needs of African Americans, ignoring the rise of the Ku Klux Klan. And this was a movement to push African Americans out of the party. And in the 1928 presidential election, they were appealing, Republicans were appealing to Southern segregationist Democrats in 5 former Confederate states, appealing to them to get their vote, to get the Southern segregationist Democrats to vote for Herbert Hoover to become president. Herbert Hoover was running against a Democrat from the North, from New York, actually named Al Smith. Herbert Hoover wins the presidential election. He only serves 1 term. He mishandles the Great Depression. President Roosevelt becomes president. Okay, President Roosevelt wins the that 1932 presidential election. So the NAACP has fought to protect the Supreme Court since 1930, when we helped to defeat a Herbert Hoover nominee to the Supreme Court. We will fight. So, and then it's gradually over the years, going into the 30s, going into the 40s, the New Deal, the New Deal policies from President Roosevelt, going into 35, the Social Security Administration Minimum Wage Act created in 1935, Homeowners Loan Corporation created in 1933. You're going to have the GI Bill in 1944 created. So the African Americans are going to gradually switch over to the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party was more receptive to our concerns. We were still leery of the Democratic Party and leery of Roosevelt. African Americans liked Eleanor Roosevelt better, but we found the Democrats to be more receptive to our needs than the Republicans. 1947, 1948 presidential election, the Democratic Party had a pro-civil rights agenda. At the same time, you're going to have Strom Thurmond run for president as a Dixiecrat. Okay, Strom Thurmond's going to lose, and that's going to be 1948, where they're going to, these Southern segregationist Dixiecrats are going to bring back out that Confederate battle flag of Northern Virginia that people mistakenly call the Confederate flag. So there were 3 flags that flew over the Confederate States of America from 1861 to 1865. Okay, the flag that's on the General Lee car in the Dukes that has it, General Lee, because the car is named after General Robert E. Lee, okay, a white supremacist slave owner who committed treason against the U.S. and took up arms to fight for the Confederacy to overthrow the government, basically. That flag that's on the General Lee car is not the Confederate flag. That's the Confederate battle flag of Northern Virginia under General Robert E. Lee's army. So that flag is going to be brought back out as a symbol of defiance and resistance to the civil rights movement, because civil rights is existing. Well, basically, civil rights goes back to the Civil Rights Act of 1865, which was vetoed by President Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Abraham Lincoln. And then the radical Republicans in Congress are going to come back with the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which is going to be the foundation for the 14th Amendment of 1868. Civil rights didn't start in 1955 with the December 5th, 1955 with the Montgomery bus boycott. Civil rights goes back to 1865 and 1866. So the NAACP has fought to protect the Supreme Court since 1930, when we helped to defeat a President Herbert Hoover nominee in the Supreme Court. We will fight this illegitimate Trump nomination with everything we have because of the danger it poses to our civil rights and to the future of our democracy. At the same time, we emphatically encourage all Americans to vote. As the Supreme Court battle demonstrates, the consequences of this election could not be greater. Our voices must be heard. So elections have consequences. In all the things that we complain about and calling the radio shows every day, like 9, 10 AM Superstation, and complain about all day, the majority of that are usually the side effects of bad public policy. Okay, written by politicians. Policies put in place, written by politicians who were elected, or policies put in place by people who were appointed by people who were elected. Okay, so we'll talk some more about Judge Amy Coney Barret the rest of this week, I guess. So very quickly here, how's everybody doing? We're here for a few more minutes in overtime. What do we want to do here? We'll do coronavirus update. Oh, coronavirus is we see an uptick in 40 states. We see since Saturday, October 10th, more than 20 states have hit a new high in their 7-day average of reported case counts. And more than half of those states set records again on Tuesday, October 13th, according to data tracked by the Washington Post. I'm looking at updates from the Washington Post. Washington Post makes these updates free. Go to WashingtonPost.com and you can look at their coronavirus. States across the West and Midwest are reporting record numbers of new coronavirus cases, a worrying sign of rapid transmission. A worrying sign of rapid transmission that could signal the arrival of a long-feared cold weather wave of infections. Because the big fear is flu season and coronavirus. And during the winter time, people retreat indoors because it's cold. They're closer together, and this allows the flu to spread easily and coronavirus to spread easily. Okay? So states across the West and Midwest are reporting record numbers of coronavirus cases, a worrying sign of rapid transmission that could signal the arrival of a long-feared cold weather wave of infections. Since Saturday, October 10th, more than 20 states have hit a new high in their 7-day average of reported case counts, and more than half of those states set records again on Tuesday, October 13th, according to data tracked by the Washington Post. Now, Midwestern states such as Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio are driving the surge. Okay. Midwestern states like Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio are driving the surge, while states farther west, such as Colorado and Idaho, and the Dakotas, have seen their cases rise steadily for weeks. And then also we're seeing a rise here in Michigan as well. Okay. Now, experts are concerned that the rising numbers portend an even greater increase this winter, when drier conditions and more time spent indoors will help the virus spread. And you're going to have the flu on top of that. How's everybody doing? Erica, Raynita, Holly, Linda, Ada, Strom. She says Strom Thurmond, Jeff Sessions were buddies. Yeah. Jefferson Beauregard Sessions the third. I'm trying to tell people, it's like you know people throw this term around, Jim Crow Joe. Go study Jeff Sessions and Strom Thurmond. It's like and what? Okay, whatever. Quote, things will get better. I mean, Jeff Sessions, keep in mind, 1986, Jeff Sessions was denied becoming a U.S. judge, a federal judge, I think it was. They said he was too racist to become Wes Lowry had some reporting on that for the Washington Post. Let's see here. Yeah, read the letter Coretta Scott King wrote opposing Sessions' 1986 federal nomination. Because she said, Dr. King's widow, she said if Jeff Sessions became a federal judge, then it would undo her husband's legacy. Yeah, this is from Wes Lowry, January 10th, 2017, Washington Post. Coretta Scott King, the widow of civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., urged in a letter to federal, allowing him to join the federal would, quote, irreparably, quote. The letter, previously unavailable publicly, was obtained on Tuesday back in January 2017. So anyone who has used the power of his state's attorney to intimidate and the exercise of the ballot by citizens should not be elevated to our court, Coretta Scott King wrote in the cover page of her 9-page letter opposing Jefferson Beauregard Sessions the third nomination to be judge. She wrote a 9-page letter. I don't know if she typed it up because we ain't have well, most people didn't have home computers back in 1986. So I think she may have handwritten it. She may have typed it up, may have had her secretary type it up and dictated it. She wrote a 9-page letter, okay, opposing Jeff Sessions becoming a federal judge. Quote, Mr. Sessions has used the awesome powers of his office in a shabby attempt to intimidate and frighten Italy. For this reprehensible conduct, he should not be rewarded with a federal judgeship, end quote. Okay, read the rest of this article. I don't have time getting into we'll post a link here because I have thousands of articles, literally. If you watch my show, you all know this. Read the letter Coretta Scott King wrote opposing Sessions' 1986 federal nomination. It's by Wes Lowry for the Washington Post. Okay. All right. Can you all hear me okay? Can you all hear me? Stand by, everybody. Just a second here. All right. Let me know. All right, good. You can hear me. All right. All right. Things will get hood. Things will get before the Mike DeWine Republican. This virus is sneaky and cunning and won't give up. It's it's in past couple of days. Scientists found stand by, everybody.